Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com. Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, episode 151. It's Tuesday evening. Again. It has been 2 weeks since we've had a show. Of course, with December and January, people are kind of, getting ready for the new year. And then in January, we'll be getting ready to get over from having celebrated the new year. So things could be a little interesting. So thank you very much for tuning in to Seat Time. This is the online show for the off-road enthusiast, the beer drinking bench racing show of all the motorcyclists out there in the world that enjoy just being on two wheels or just talking about how good they used to be back in the day. You can find us on YouTube, of course, is a good way to subscribe to us there if you're looking for audio only. Stitcher and iTunes are both good ways to subscribe to the podcast. Of course, we would not be here without the fine folks at Fly Racing, Stillwell Performance, and of course, Fast Company with their fantastic flex bars. So if you had flex bars at the T-Sec Enduro, how much better would you have done?
I probably would have done a whole lot better because by about halfway through, I felt like I got hit by a train.
It would have just been a small train.
Yeah, a lot smaller of a train. I probably would have finished that last test a lot faster than I did.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that in a little bit because I didn't finish it all that last test all that fast either. But yeah, so super excited to be back. It is episode 151. Sorry about the 2-week breaks. It really is just with all the holidays and co-hosts that enjoy being on the show, finishing up all their college stuff that's been going on. It's really just something we need to kind of, make sure everybody's happy and sane and not about to just go completely batshit crazy. Because we don't need that towards this happy time of the year, Christmas. So what other kind of stuff? We got archive stuff. So we got hoodies in.
Yes.
They look fantastic. Thank you very much to anybody and everybody that did support us by purchasing one of those. It just means a lot that there's enough people out there for us to kind of hit a minimum and create cool stuff for you guys like that. Hopefully in 2015 we'll have a couple more. We're looking at trying to do 4 different releases throughout the year, and of course it'll be a one-time buy kind of situation. So as those come up, definitely check those out. I didn't mention the site, seattime.co. Obviously, if you're watching us live, you're at seattime.co/live. That's where we archive everything. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, all those kinds of stuff. If you're not in the chat room, definitely get in the chat room because once Chris Kiefer comes on a little bit later, it'll be a great way for you to ask questions to him, ask questions to us, all that kinds of fun stuff, and make things a tad bit more relevant. So, Jordan, last time we talked, you were going into finals.
Yes.
With school. Now, I take that means you are now done with finals.
Yes, I am. It was a stressful week, but yep,
Weight
done.
Off the chest?
Yes. It's like party for the next... Well, not party. I really just sit home and watch Netflix. For the next
Much
month.
more water now. You just slamming the waters like there's no tomorrow.
For the next month and then back at it again.
It's like you're in the middle of Mad Max and you found a bunch of water. You're just like, oh, gosh, this water makes me party so hard.
Yeah.
I did see, I don't remember what it's called. It's the water you drink while you drink. It's like some kind of... supposed to be the hangover cure kind of water. I'll have to.
Interesting.
I'll have to look around for the name.
Or just drink water.
Or don't. Yeah. Or don't drink liquor and drink water, and then you won't have to worry about a hangover. So,
whichever you prefer.
Yeah. All right. So, I can't say too much about what I've been up to because I don't really know that it's been a ton of stuff. So 2 weeks ago when we were on, we were doing a lot of talk about the T-Sec Enduro that happened there, the Bartow Ranch in. Just north of Callisburg, Texas, so right there on the Texas-Oklahoma border. I had a crap ton of fun at that event. What about you?
Yes, absolutely. It was awesome. Are you
excited that I drugged you guys to it?
Yes, because when you talked about it here, you said it was going to be dry and marbly and the dirt sucked, and we got there, and I don't know where the rain had come from, but the dirt was awesome, and the track was awesome. Well, you said the track was going to be awesome, but it was just perfect.
Yeah, I was really surprised, too, and very thankful.
Yes.
Because... And it was interesting because it's a smaller piece of property and put on by the Red River Dirt Riders, as we said before, the guys who did Last Man Standing and a bunch of other events throughout the years. They know how to build a very tough race. So when somebody sees 45 race miles, they're like, 45 race miles? That doesn't sound like much. I do 45 in a cross-country race. Well, these aren't your typical, like, going extremely fast, open 45 miles. So the way that these guys put on a race on a small piece of property, you had to do a couple loops twice, but that was okay because by the time you got back to them, they were so rough and so beat up. Oh,
it was awesome, but the dirt was still good too when you came back around, which never happens in Texas. So.
That's very true. It did. Yeah, it did. We had that interesting overcast all day.
Yeah.
I think throughout the first 3 tests, we were getting mist. Like every now and again, it was coming in. Were your goggles not just fogging up like crazy? Oh yeah,
they were just basically trash.
How many times did you hit the ground?
Me, well, a lot actually. Probably like 5 times, which isn't that much. I mean, okay, it's a lot.
I mean, it's more than none.
Yeah.
So
greater than 0.
Yeah, the number I think that to win, the number you want to have is 0.
Yes.
Or just
far
hope that
from
everybody
1.
else is having a bad day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately I hit the ground like 3 times in the third test. So that 5 mile that ended in the motocross test.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, every single time I hit the ground in that test was because of another rider. Like either I was going to make a pass. It looked like they were fading either to the right or to the left, so I was kind of exaggerating my path, and then they cut right in front of me at the last second because of whatever reason. And then another time it went down, there was just kind of drop into this ditch, and I was like, oh, cool. And as a guy off to the right, like I was like, okay, don't hit him. And so I'm just going to gas it and zip up this thing. But at the bottom, there was just something. And I have no idea what it was, but I hit it, and I just pinballed straight into the dude.
Just like he did.
I T-boned the crap out of him. And I'm like, sorry, dude. Because I didn't. It's like if we were cross-country battling and racing, rubbing elbows, and like he had done something that pissed me off and I T-boned him, like, I mean, sure, you don't want to be that kind of sportsman, but it might happen. Like, this was, like, so out of the blue.
Yeah,
like, I was apologizing before I was off the ground.
Yeah. Funny, that same exact test section, there was, like, this one spot that was, like, freshly cut stuff, and you kind of, like, went up and around. And I fell over there, and then I get up, and I'm getting back on my bike, and my foot gets caught in, like, the brush, and then I just straight fell over the other side, and I, like, held all these people up. They weren't very happy. It was hilarious, though.
Get the girl out of the trail!
Up, over, over. It was awesome.
You didn't use any of your Jordan Ashburn techniques that you
No, I did.
Dirt rider?
That's the only way I can really pick up my bike.
No, you did use it.
Yeah, every time I fell. If you haven't seen it.
Was it Dirt Rider that those were in?
Was it Dirt Rider or Dirt Bike? Cooper? Rider? Dirt Rider.
He's just shaking his head back there. Dirt Rider.
Yeah.
We'll go
Dirt Rider.
Dirt Rider.
Yep.
And then, of course, to your point of the goofy tip over, I had one of those as well in the last section. So the 10, 11, 12 mile that we had, the AB only.
Like 15
right,
miles.
You know how we kind of did, we did kind of the first bit, which is all the exact same parts,
Yep.
probably about 2.5 miles, and then we took that hard right into the just rough cut.
Yeah.
When we come out of that little creek that we had gone into, and I'm turning right to go up it, and I stall. And I'm like, well, this sucks.
It was like,
totally
I fell
over.
on the exact same thing. It was like up and around, and it came up at like a weird angle. I don't know, but I wrecked there too, and one guy actually cussed at me because I held him up there. Crash buddies.
We're like, you were 2 rows behind me.
I was.
So let's talk about 2 rows behind me. So all day, like I was just like, sweet. So Steve Levan, he's fast for, I mean, I was going to say fast for an old dude. He's just fast, you know what I mean? But he is a little bit older too, but
Yes.
that's okay. He can kick a lot of people's asses, including my own. But so he was on 26, so right behind me. So the days that I could keep him from passing me, I felt like I was doing a good job. I haven't raced in a long time, you know, not really in riding shape. And so those were awesome. But then behind me on 27 was Jordan and Cooper, her husband, you know, and he's a past A champ, you know, A rider, like super pro, all those kinds of stuff. And then his dad, Scott Bailey. So I knew that those 2 dudes, if I laxed at all, would be up my butt in no time. And unfortunately, within the last mile of that last test section, they both come by me. It wasn't demoralizing because by that point I was way past demoralized.
Yeah, like just finished.
Yeah, I was like so ready to be done. But what was surprising to me is how good I felt all day.
Yeah.
I was, you know, just kind of keeping up with the boot camps and riding my mountain bike when I can, riding the dirt bike when I can, and just mentally going into it with, I'm going to have fun. I'm not going to go out there and try to, you know, kick anybody's butt. And surprisingly, I mean, I held up for 7/8 of the day. It was really about 4 or 5 miles into that last test section. Once we got through a couple of the tight rough cuts, is where I just mentally lost it.
Yeah, I think I mentally lost about halfway through. I came back to camp. And
the second test?
I think after the third. So the end of the test, you talked about the motocross section. We get to that check right before it, and I thought that was the end of the test, and then I just like cruised the whole moto section. And then I get back to camp, and Scott and Cooper look at my time, and they're like, what happened? You fell off the pace big. I was like, well, you just had that like last little bit. I didn't know that was actually part of the test still. I just like chilled the whole time, rolled everything.
You didn't see a checkout, did you?
I didn't understand. I haven't raced very many Enduros. So yeah,
that happened. How hard is it? They check you in.
Okay.
And they check
you
out.
But they had a check thing.
That was an ob check.
A what?
It's an observation check.
Observation check. Yep. Didn't know what those were.
Were you at the riders meeting?
No.
Oh, they told us about it at the riders meeting. And because of the fact that the trails were so close at some points, they knew that there could be spots where people could try to cheat, where they might be able to see, that's a guy ahead of me.
Way on the opposite end of cheating, and I just like let people catch me
slower.
Up. Yeah. I was like, gave them a fair chance.
So when you passed that was an ob check to make sure that
killed my speed and just rolled.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. But
Next
anyways,
time we'll figure things out.
How about halfway through the race, I was like, came back to camp and I was like, I'm done. I'm not going back out. And they're like, no, you are. You don't have a choice. Get your stuff on. Here's some ibuprofen and get on your bike.
I did drink. I did take a lot of ibuprofen that day.
Yes.
That I could say. Well, cool. Well, we're going to have a fun guest this evening. Kris Keefer is going to join us here in a little bit. We could go ahead and start calling him in if you want, Steven, whenever you're ready. I think that'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to this. I do listen to the Pulp MX show a lot, and he's on there quite a good bit as co-host. Does not take any money, by the way. I think that's awesome to be a co-host there on Pulp MX. He's just an awesome dude. He talks about some of the stuff that I want to hear about. Very experienced in off-road as well, which I don't think he gets a lot of chance to talk about being on the Pulp MX.
Yeah, it's no secret that Mathis doesn't really prefer off-road.
Mathis hates off-road.
Hashtag.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to that, to just kind of see how it's gonna go with those guys. I don't know if you guys noticed, Fly Racing today did put out their cold weather gear, and with that cold weather gear, the way it's kind of working is what they're doing is they're putting out these different parts to how you can use Fly Racing cold weather gear to make sure that during the winter you can have a more enjoyable experience, because everybody knows it sucks like when the wind's coming in or snow's coming in your helmet. I mean, maybe not in Texas, we don't know, but
well, we're kind of more like babies about it though. So when it does get cold, we're
like I'm going home.
Yeah.
This is stupid. But it's really cool. I was really excited to see that. I didn't know that email was coming, so when it showed up in my inbox, I was like, oh, very neat. So they actually do have like very specific Fly Racing helmets for the winter, and if you don't have one of those helmets or don't have the funds to buy one, you can buy like a little muzzle guard they have to help keep the snow out and the wind. And then, of course, they have they call it like a hole plug or a plug for the vent holes on your Fly Racing helmet, so that way you don't get as much. The idea is to kind of cut back a little bit on the airflow that you get.
The Arctic airflow.
What did you say?
Arctic.
That's not what it sounded like, but I guess it was because of everything else going on over there, and I was just like, what? That doesn't sound like something that would go in a helmet at all. What kind of helmet are you playing with? So very cool. Go check out the Fly Racing website. They just released their cold weather moto gear part 1 today, and part 2 is going to be released next week. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be about the gloves. And if anybody out there is listening to Seat Time even half a second, that half a second you realize that I have baby hands and they freeze when it's 20 when it's like 20 below 60. It's horrible. So I'm very excited to see what Fly Racing has for me and the baby hands motif. So Mr. Kris Keefer, can you hear us over there?
Hey, what's up, guys? Jordan, Brian, how you guys doing?
Oh man, so far so good. So Tuesday evening. It's 6-ish something over there in California. I mean, is this life treating you awesome? What's been going on?
Actually, it's been busy. Everybody's cramming stuff before the end of the year, getting tests done, and the magazine, we just released the March issue, and of course, doing stuff for Steve and Pulp MX and taking care of my own stuff, Kiefer Inc. testing. So yeah, life's good, life's busy, a lot of dirt bikes, so it can't be that bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Kiefer Inc. testing. That is so.
Yeah, so I started that. Like 6 years ago. I found a lot of companies just hurry up and get their products out or dyno it, and, without actually testing on the track. So I asked around a little bit and saw some companies that needed a test rider, and it just kind of took off from there. So I'm full up on all contracts right now for next year. So keeps me on the dirt bike. It keeps products getting better for the consumer. It's a win-win.
Dude, that's awesome. That's one hell of a way to have a job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, it's not just to ride your dirt bike, but to test and ride all the shit out there.
Yeah, all the products. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's cool too because you think you like, oh man, I just got to race dirt bikes, and that's how you make it. But to me, like, I always just wanted to be able to, I wanted to race and be professional, but obviously I ran out of talent. So I was always a better test rider, and it just happened to work out. And now I get to ride dirt bikes for a living and work with a great company like Dirt Rider Magazine and have good people around me. So it's cool, man. I'm stoked.
yeah, for sure. So for somebody like myself and Jordan who have baby hands, no, we could just leave the baby hands out of it. It's like, what's the number one thing when it comes to testing that a lot of people just overlook or overthink?
There's a lot of things. Like the first thing, like, people think, like, they get a new bike, they need a muffler, or they need to get suspension done, or they need to do stuff to their new bike. But honestly, man, there's so much testing that's involved in a new bike. You'd be surprised, how much is involved just, doing a stock muffler. There's so much R&D behind that muffler, and a lot of companies can't match, a stock power nowadays just because, with the dB levels getting restricted and all this stuff, there's only so much you can do. So, I would say, I was always brought up stock is best. There are some things that are better, but, stock bikes are really good nowadays.
Yeah, I the only thing that sucks is that my stock KTM exhaust pipe on my 300 two-stroke XC, it always has dents in it. I don't know what the deal is. It's like somebody walks up to it and kicks it, and it's just...
It must be your kids. They're just going
really,
out there, like,
I think it is. I
with
think it's my
hammers.
2-year-old. That little SOB's like picking my
I think
hammers up and
so.
just hitting them. That's what it is. I mean,
You got one of those hanger pipe guard things that wrap around, or what?
No, of course not. That's why would I? That would just then you can't see that I hit shit.
Hey, those are like battle scars, man, to prove that you were tearing it up out in the woods.
I know, dude. So if I know you're kind of friends with Cole Townsend over there at Fast Company, we went on their fast ride last year before the Endurocross in Vegas. And I, of course, trying to keep up with Mike Brown in some of the open sections, like, the cool guy that I am, followed him off his drop-off. In the section he went on, I'm like 2 feet to his left. So I'm like, whatever he's going to go, I'm totally safe. Not a big deal. He goes off totally kosher. I go off to the left 2 feet, and I clink the shit out of this big-ass rock, and it pulls the header out of my engine, and it sucks back in, like, sideways. So, like, you go from like a 300 to a 85. So we get back to the shop. I've got 2 Kawasaki mechanics, 2 sledgehammers, a 2x4, and about 6 beer bottles, empty, of course, as we're trying to get this pipe off of there. And we literally had to hacksaw it off to where we could, like, get in there with dude, don't try to keep up with Mike Brown. Moral of the story.
Dude,
Lesson learned.
That is what happens when men get together and we try to have dick measuring contests. And there's always a loser in that. There's always one shorter dick around, and just happen to got the short end of the dick. That's right.
Man, the problem is I wish getting the short end of the dick was cheaper. That situation turned out to be so expensive because, of course, after the fast ride, I'm signed up to go race in Vegas, so I have to go before going to Vegas Endurocross, which is the gnarliest one of the year last year. I have to go buy a brand new FMF pipe off the showroom floor there in like Washington, Utah, and dude, I just was like, looking, here's $200, and I'm gonna not see any of this ever again. It's gonna be a crumpled piece of metal, and it is.
Yeah.
I still roll.
Yeah.
With
It's
the
like a
show.
trophy.
And the thing is, you messed with like the top tier kind of dude too. Like Brownie's a gnarly dude. So, I mean, you're setting the bar pretty high for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem was it was karma because I was probably riding too close to his line of sight. Like, I think what happened is he kind of saw me out of his peripheral vision and just kind of like willed death upon me with his awesome brownie eyes, and that was it. I was just down from there. So, Well,
what's funny is my wife thinks Mike Brown's like the hottest dude, hottest off-road guy ever, and they always call him Tim McGraw. She thinks he looks like Tim McGraw. So.
Well, I'm surprised. I guess your wife just hasn't seen me on a bike then? Is that where
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. She's due home anytime, so she'll be able to check you out.
I guess that's where the disconnect is. I don't know. Guess we'll have to find out. No. But you have some Endurocross experience. I had some Endurocross experience. But Jordon, do you have any Endurocross experience?
Not official Endurocross experience. I've done some ghetto ones, but
What is not official? Does that mean you've officially crashed on logs? They just weren't in a track?
Like, I haven't raced a real Endurocross race, I would say.
Okay.
Like a ghetto one.
What exactly is a ghetto Endurocross?
It sounds way more dangerous.
Well, they mostly take place in Oklahoma. That's like, you know,
Right.
that's number one point on there. And then it's in like an arena that's like they show horses in, but really small. And the logs are real tiny and the rocks are real tiny. And they got like a real ghetto, like Flatlander jump. And
are you
quads.
talking
Quads
about-
always race there as
Are you
well.
talking about Guthrie in 2007, 2008?
No, I'm not. Was it very similar?
Yeah. 'Cause I remember because they used to have the Can-Am quad Endurocross like the first 2 years it started or something.
Well, maybe it was similar, but this was, where was it, Stillwater?
Hey,
Yep.
Endurocross is no joke, man. Like, I try to, like, always pick, like, hey, I want to race an Endurocross, and I want to do this, but I never get a bike set up for me, and I always end up riding one of the Dirt Rider test bikes, and I don't ever get a good tire, and I never ride Endurocross, so it's like I just hop in there and think I'm going to be able to do good. Well, it's not like that, man. I get out there and I'm falling. It feels like I just got on a dirt bike for the first time that day. It's horrible.
Yeah. I've always that just sounds really conceited. Typically, I can do decent at Endurocross. I can, even if I feel like I'm really out of my league, I'm just going to go slow. I can kind of pitter-patter my way and not really get stuck or have horrible issues. Vegas 2013 Endurocross was a clusterfuck for me. The first practice, I made 3/4 of a lap. The second practice, I made half a lap. Like, no shit. Like, that has, like, never happened. And I literally, I was like, fuck this. So I just went and parked my bike and went to the bar and got a Crown and Coke. And I was like, everybody's like, what happened? You get hurt? I was like, fuck that, I quit. I was like, Crown and Cokes can not do as much damage to me as what just happened out there. So
Yeah. And that 3/4 of a lap, your heart rate's probably 190 and you can't breathe. You feel like you got charcoal in your chest. You know, there's a lot of similarities to, like, I relate to when I was racing Supercross to Endurocross, where you don't breathe a lot and you're always trying to concentrate, and you find yourself, man, you're tired in 2 laps, and they're like, oh shit, your qualifier is 4 laps. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do 4 laps? You know?
Right. Yeah, it's insane. Now, it's interesting. We're talking about Endurocross, and this just kind of popped in my head. I remember Weege. I had him on the show after he made some comments about how it's scary that he thinks the way that Supermoto kind of fell off the face of the earth because it became so specialized. He was thinking that something like that might happen with Endurocross. But I think we're seeing it growing. I mean, we're looking at their schedule for next year. You know, they've picked up a couple more rounds. They're going to be on the East Coast a little bit more. Obviously, with, you know, somebody like Cody Webb, who, you know, 6-7 years ago was only a trials rider and had a big bike for fun, is now, you know, a national Endurocross champion, and making more money, switching brands, all kinds of stuff. So, what are your kind of thoughts on where Endurocross might be headed or fizzing out? Or
well, see, I think Eric does a great job of promoting the series, for one. Number two, he kind of brings out amateurs. It's a lot easier to get a rider to go race Endurocross than it is Supermoto, because Supermoto, you got to actually build a bike to go race that stuff. You know?
Okay.
It goes to prove to you, like, I just rode a stock YZ250F at Ontario, and it really wasn't the bike as much as it was the rider. So I think it attracts a lot of amateurs, vet guys. It's a cool event. You get to race inside a stadium where you get, like, an atmosphere of, like, a Supercross. So you get that kind of pressure. And I think for, like, you know, the amateur crowd and the vet crowd, it's cool for them because they never get to experience all that too, you know, and it hits close to home more than Supercross, because, you know, you watch Supercross and you're like, well, shit, I ain't ever going to be able to do that. So
True.
I think that part of it has down pretty good. And And I think, it's for me, and I love motocross, don't get me wrong, but when I go watch an Endurocross, I actually like watching Endurocross more than Supercross, just because you never know what the hell is going to happen,
Right.
Those guys can have a straightaway lead and it's gone in, just like that. So to me, it's more exciting to watch. Those guys are specialized at what they do, but just what, Cody and Colton did this year, they closed that gap on Taddy so much,
Yeah, they did.
And the year prior, you're thinking, shit, no one's going to beat Taddy. He's unreal. But, and I see that coming up with like Ty Tremaine and those kind of guys, that kid's doing awesome, Colton and Cody. And then I don't know if Taddy's coming back or not, but like it's going to be a good series. We're going to be 5 or 6 guys. Going to be really good. So
yeah, Ty Tremaine. Yeah, you're right. He just won. He went all 3 in Poland at the opener for the Super Enduro in the junior class. I believe it's like a lights class essentially. But yeah, he did awesome over there.
Ty's great, and also who surprised me in Ontario was Destry's kid Cooper. Man, he killed it.
Did he get his first night win? At that
yeah,
race?
he did. He won the amateur main, which was unreal. Like, to me, don't tell Destry this, but I think Cooper rode better than Destry did.
Don't worry. I'm pretty sure there's only a handful of Abbotts that watch this show, and Destry's probably not one of them. It's funny. One more thing on the you were talking about the Endurocross and how some of the guys have never been in that kind of arena situation before. And I can tell you, I think it was 2007 Guthrie, and I was in that situation, and I had to do my hot lap. And I came out of the water hole into like the big sand pit, and this is before they totally filled it with water, so you could kind of still get some speed and jump out of it. And I jumped out of it and hit the sand and totally just fell over. Like, I have no idea what happened, but I just, wrecked my shit. And it was the first time in my life I had ever heard an entire arena go, oh. And I mean, like, I just wanted to stand up and bow. Like, it was like, and that was when I realized, I was like, shit, it's a hot lap. Everybody's watching me. And that was it. Like, I made so many more mistakes after that one stupid crash. And it's like, oh my God, this is way more nerve-wracking than I thought it would be.
It's a little embarrassing. It's funny that you say that, because I had the same kind of similar thing happen to me. Like, they had you on my hot lap in Vegas one year. I think it was the year before you raced it. You had to roll a log into the fire pit, and then the start finish was right there. So you kind of rolled that and then started your lap. Well, they fluffed up all the chopped wood, and I qualified, but I was like one of the first guys to go out my hot lap. And I literally just rolled the log, and I endoed right in the fire pit before I even started my lap. And all these people are like going, who is this goon out there? How do you even qualify? And the same thing goes in Ontario. First lap I crash in the water, and bikes are landing on me, and the flagger's like, he thinks I was crying, but I was laughing so hard at myself underneath my bike because I'm trapped underneath my bike, and the guy's trying to yank it off me. I'm like, yo, whoa. I'm like, my knee's caught. And he's like, oh, man, are you crying? I'm so sorry. I go, no, I'm not, dumbass, because I'm attached to the motorcycle. So
Awesome.
It's almost like going and riding with your buddies. The story is actually better than the racing afterwards,
Oh, for sure. For sure. So I think the moral of the story is that we need to get Jordon on Endurocross so she can have just as many amazing stories as we do.
I'll be the
Jordan,
one crashing.
Do it.
Oh, no.
Oh, you gotta love that POS. That computer just shut down again on us. Oh, that's awesome.
I think he was saying Jordan could totally do it. I don't know.
Keep talking
That's
about
what
it while
I'm
I tell
gonna
him what
say.
happened.
Well, yeah, if someone wants to, get us to another Endurocross race, I'd be down to race. Would you be down to race?
I would totally be down.
He's probably wondering where we went.
I was like, oh, wow. He's like, I was so funny, and then they hung up on me. Those SOBs. So, great chance while we see what happens here with this computer. Stillwell Performance. So, if you guys didn't realize, they did a fantastic job this year getting bikes ready for Cody Webb, Max Gersten, guys like Kyle Redmond, Corey Griffunder, the Shane Watts team over there on the GNCCs. And, of course, when Dirt Rider did their testing, they freaking knocked it out of the park. Like, they gave it a 5 stars. So if you're thinking about any kind of suspension upgrades or maybe, a revalve job or just questions, that's a good thing too, is I've always found that Alan is extremely helpful. And that's a big thing when it comes to suspension, is that it's kind of personal. and everybody's going to not totally get how or why it works sometimes. So when I can call Alan and ask him questions and he's right there to answer them, I think that's a big
that says a lot for
a big
him
help.
and his company.
Yeah, so definitely check them out, stillwellperformance.com. Huge supporters of Seat Time, and we obviously extremely thankful for their support. So I was looking around at other kind of random bits that was going on while we were seeing if we can get this computer running again. Rocky Mountain Supercross, Rocky Mountain Fantasy Supercross is back this year. So I know it's neat with Supercross. You know, we've kind of seen Supercross get a little bit bigger. And now we've seen different kinds of like fantasy Supercross leagues come up. I believe Pulpamex kind of has one on their site. So now Verb Offroad, I believe, has Moto Dynasty. You know, and it's Rocky Mountain's been doing this one for a couple years, and it's coming back. So
what kind of cool prizes do they do
all
prizes?
Kinds of cool prizes. Let's go to the website
awesome.
and find out. I should know because of the fact that we've been working on it. But
for one season, GNCC's had a fantasy thing, and it was awesome. And like Obermeyer put up like a TTR 110 for the winner. It was really cool. It was fun.
RMFantasySupercross.com.
There it is.
Free to enter. So Suzuki, Monster Energy, and FMF are the big sponsors. I do know that there's a chance for the top two guys to get a 450 and a 250. Totally like race ready.
Holy cow!
Is it from Pro Circuit? Steven, do you remember?
How awesome!
I think it's from Pro Circuit, but yeah, Steven's
should be
looking
from
at this
Suzuki.
shit. He's just looking at the logos, man. See prizes. Oh, look at this. Woohoo! Nope, didn't take us anywhere.
Working on it.
And that's the one that's the kind of like work, but then it's the 1, 2, 3 backwards. So and so that's exciting. I mean, I think it's cool that, you know, we got Supercross coming up in a couple weeks, and there's all these neat ways for fans to get involved.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good time for those people. I know that Fad Duval was supposed to release some news today.
Today?
Yeah, but that
I didn't see
happen,
anything.
apparently. So still kind of waiting to see what and who he might be.
Yeah.
On.
Interesting.
Anybody in the chat room know offhand? Let's see.
Help us. He had posted like a Woman Crush Wednesday with all the different bike brands a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Like, Beta's announced their team. Right?
Yamaha's announced their team.
The only big factory team that hasn't been officially announced is Husqvarna, right? Like, Husqvarna announced that Strang would be riding for them.
Yeah.
But Husqvarna hasn't announced their full team roster. And we do know that Ryan Sipes accidentally shared, you know, them and Spider Graphics shared the fact that he's going to be on a Husky for next year with a bunch of more support from Air Group Radiant Racing. And a couple different sponsors, but still kind of the same package deal.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But I mean,
or is he going to do something on his own again?
Well, if that's boring, Eric Kudla, maybe we could just talk about you. How about that, Mr. Suck It? We'll see. Suck it. But yeah, so I think it's gonna be interesting.
Here he comes.
You there? Are you grabbing my boobs? Can you hear us?
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Is this better?
Yeah. I really hope you're doing that to me, because if you're doing it to Jordan, and that's why she has that face, I'm really going to have to scoot out of the way.
I was doing it. It was towards you. Me, Jordan and I are married, so we can't do that. So.
That's true. Wait a minute. What does that mean for me? I'm married.
Oh, I didn't know you were married. Okay, I'm retracting my grab.
Oh no, I mean, I'm just gonna be like, Tim, guess what happened on the show tonight? The mustache pulled in some Keef action. You know what I'm saying? I got a ginger on me. Yeah, so no, that was totally on our end. Like literally, all of a sudden, the computer went pew. So we have a couple different computers running the whole setup, and yours died. I think it was enjoying that Endurocross commercial or talk way too much.
Yeah.
So We just had a question in the chat room while we were kind of like keeping the show going, if you will, about the new Yamahas, specifically the 250FX, and then the kind of the brand new WR250F. Did you have anything to do with some of the testing on those?
Right.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you broke up a little bit there.
Oh, I was saying, did you have anything to do with the testing on those bikes?
In the very early stages I did, but it was like what they call a zero proto, but it was like back when the 250F motor came out. So basically it's the same thing as the YZ 250F motor, but just different.
Yep.
The WR has a different flywheel and it's choked up, and the YZ 250FX is, to me, it would be a better thing. Like we were talking about Endurocross, I would rather ride that, but a little bit of development, but super fun to ride. Both are going to be great, I think, especially for an Endurocross type event, or what you guys ride there in Enduro, or tight wood stuff. It's pretty cool that they're trying to specialize each bike, kind of what KTM does, but they're trying to get that going on their end.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was wondering. We were talking about it earlier tonight. You go to an off-road event, you're pretty much in a sea of orange these days.
You feel like an outsider pulling up on anything, but
yeah, I mean, like it's like a bunch of orange Skittles with other kind of colored Skittles mixed in every now and again between what other holdouts you have in the other manufacturers. It's almost what it feels like people are holding out and just not getting a KTM and not get to get one. But
right.
Obviously the other brands are great brands. So are we this kind of development with more off-road specific machines by Yamaha? Do you think this is something we're going to start seeing the other brands kind of start to do again?
Well, I think KTM's kind of forcing the Japanese manufacturers to do something, because KTM's taken the market.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 9 years ago, KTM wasn't much of anything, and the Japanese market's dominated. Now you look at the numbers and KTM's dominating, not even in just off-road, and even in motocross too. So I think this kind of forces, the other manufacturers to step it up and say, hey, we need to make some other bikes to specialize in what other, the consumer wants, because if we don't, we're going to fall behind. And what that does, it just creates a better market for all of us that ride dirt bikes. If you ride a KTM and someone else comes with something better, I mean, to me that's awesome. Because
Yep.
I try to ride stuff that works well, and I don't want to ride 9-year-old technology. I want to get something that's new. So I think it's great.
Yeah. And you were a kind of a Yamaha backed rider when you were still racing the GNCCs professionally. Was there ever any talk of something like this while you were riding those bikes?
not that I ever heard. No, nothing on my end. But like I told you, I rode the WR for most of my first season on Yamahas, and awesome bike, way too heavy for a tiny girl to
Yeah.
ride, but we did it because it had a button instead of a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see something like this that now has both and rides like a 250F.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see something now? KTM, I mean, they dropped 10 pounds on their brand new like factory replica, 450, and they still have electric start. I mean, do you think that there's any chance that we're going to see more brands start to bring over an electric start to some of their brands? Oh, there you go. Hey, buddy. Do you think we're gonna start? You think we're gonna start to see electric start on some of the other, Japanese manufacturers?
Absolutely, I think they will. If you're creating a motorcycle that's 10 pounds, less than it was the previous year, and you still have a battery, it's like I said, it forces the Japanese to think outside the box. When we do testing, it sure is nice to, push a button versus having to kickstart it, especially when we're doing a lot of KTM testing and we got to get back on another bike. It's you're like, man, that Kickstarter sucks. It's nice just to push a button. So I think within years we'll probably see more batteries, electric starts, and moto too.
Yeah. Well, and you've been testing a fully electric bike, right? I mean, that's all battery.
Yeah, that's all bad. That's a little different. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject we could talk for an hour about.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I would be kind of you're in school right now, so you might actually have some kind of chemistry or physics or math going on in your life.
Not well.
I think I would come across as even more dumb than I am typically when it's technology. I'd be like, blah. I don't know. It's interesting.
What's cool about that bike is I've ridden electric bikes before, and I personally hated them just because the way their power is delivered.
Mm-hmm.
You can never judge something if you're coming up to a log or rock or a jump. You can never judge it the right way. And what's good about the Alta bike is it's real linear and smooth, and you can roll the throttle on, and it does what you expect it to do, being, you know, that you've ridden gas-powered bikes all your life. You don't have to change your style of riding to ride this bike, which I think is key, especially if you're selling a bike for $14,000. You don't want to have to, you know, ride it and be like, what the hell is this? So
yeah. Well, one of the things you guys talked about in the Pablo Mix show is that it sounds like it's probably something that they're going to try to get a bunch of government contracts on, you know, and that might be part of what the pricing and a lot of other stuff. But I think, like, I've always wondered too, like, I don't see a lot of Cristinis kind of in the off-road world, though they are out there. But I think that that's a big staple in their business plan as well, is that they sell a lot of those Cristinis to the military.
Yeah, and I don't know too much behind it, but I know Alta does have a contract with some government stuff back east. So I know they already currently have it or are working on it, so that's already in the works. But yeah, especially now with a lot of funding, when you go green, you can get a lot of funding. So I think that also helps too. But I met a couple of their investors, and they're really good guys, and they're motorcycle enthusiasts. They're just not lawyers with money, you know. They all love dirt bikes, which is, I think, key to making a good product. And
yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I went up there and wanted to test for them, because, you know, when they first got in contact with me, I was like, I don't think so, man. No thanks. But they're like, just come on, you know, check us out. And I did, and they're all a bunch of great dudes that love dirt bikes. So, you know, it was hard for me to say no. And once I rode it, I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive. So it was nice.
Yeah, so when they called you up, they said, we'll offer you this much. And then you were like, nah. And then they were like, well, we'll double it. And you're like, okay.
I wish they would have.
I am coming down.
Been my manager. He could have got me some more money.
Kiefer, I think you do need a manager, more of an account type person in the Kiefer testing. No, I don't even remember the name of the. I guess I can't be a very good manager if I can't remember the name of the company.
The company first. Kiefer Inc. It's
Kiefer
easy.
Inc. All right.
Yeah.
Do you have that tattooed somewhere so it's like a double entendre? Like, look at my Kiefer Inc. Kiefer Inc.
No, as Jordan puts it, I'm not that ghetto.
Ooh, burn. You got to be careful, because apparently Kiefer actually has a good memory.
He has a really good memory.
I do have one tattoo, but it's only one. It's on my arm. It's my mom's initials. She passed away, but I'm not a big tattoo guy, and I know I live in Southern California, and my bill is bent a little bit. It's not full flat, but so I'm a desert rat. I'm not too much of a 909er.
Right on. I don't know what any of that means except for the desert rat part, so I'm pretty sure that all that means California.
Yeah. If you came down here long enough and you've been down the hill in Corona, and people know what the 909 is, it's all the same. People look like a cookie cutter, tattooed, black socks, you know, flat bill hat. It's all the same.
And you can only imagine that every single one of those people thinks that they're an individual, huh?
Exactly. It's freedom, right?
I remember that too in high school. I hung out with all the freaks, and we had the freak tree, like that's what everybody called it. And I loved how everybody thought that they were just they were so individualistic, and I'm so me. And I remember stepping back one day and looking around, and I was like, everybody here looks like the exact same. They're like, this is just the freaks. Those are the preps. Those are the whatevers. It's interesting. And I guess that's what with the KTM
funny.
Riders, the Husky Riders.
You go down the hill, or you go somewhere, and you can totally tell the guys that ride dirt bikes, you know, because we all kind of look the same, and you know the skinnier type dudes, and they got, you know, some kind of like clothes. They all wear the same type of clothes. It's funny.
Right. Hey, so Dirt Rider did a test ride on some Stillwell Performance stuff. I think at an Endurocross and at a GNCC recently. Was that any of the bikes that you rode offhand?
Yeah, so actually 2 years ago in Colorado, Stillwell built me a KTM, and it was a KTM 300, and it was awesome, man. That was probably one of the better, you know, that's probably the only, you know, Endurocross specific bike that I have ridden. And everything after that kind of sucked, because then I knew like how good a gummy tire is and how good suspension is and how good it is to set your bike up for Endurocross, because it really is a unique sport, and you got to set your bike up the right way. So I did some stuff with Stillwell. Stillwell's an awesome person, and he's one of the good guys around. And and that guy loves dirt bikes, man. No matter what, he lives, eats, breathes dirt bikes. And actually, I just did a story. It's hard for me to remember because I'm so far ahead in magazine world, but the March issue is coming out, and I just did a shop tour with Stillwell. So he built a new shop, and I had Kelsey Abbott shoot the photos. But huge shop. We did a whole tour and kind of explained what he has going on, and he's a cool guy. And actually, I watched the show a little bit, and he knows a lot about that 4CS stuff, and I've ridden some of his stuff, even in moto on that, and it's good stuff. And there's not a lot of guys that know that fork very good.
Yeah, it really blew my mind, even some of the, and I wouldn't say like by seat time numbers that it was like super crazy watched, but what it was crazy how much conversation happened on that video alone, on that when we took the 4CS segment, when he was on and kind of pulled it out of its own episode. It really caused a lot of chatter, which was awesome. I mean, that's exactly why you do that stuff. So it was really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. Like, we were talking about KTMs, and KTMs, I like KTMs a lot, but it's just the suspension side they need to step their game up production-wise. The WP stuff's hard to set up and hard to figure out, and it's getting better, and it's better than it used to be, but it's still not on par with, say, a Yamaha, as far as spring fork. And we could go on and on about the air fork technology and how big of a piece of shit that is, but
why is it that no one's as honest as you just were about that stuff? Like, that's the most honest anybody's ever said about air forks to me, or that I've even heard. Is it everybody just?
You know what? And the thing is like, I work for a magazine, and we have to, we don't have to be politically correct all the time, and I call it like I see it, and all it is manufacturers cutting costs and trying to pitch it to the consumer as far as, hey, you're getting a better product, when really you're not really getting anything better than a spring and oil fork, because those things had lots of comfort, and this new air fork has not a lot of comfort, and it changes a lot. And you get some guy that buys a bike, and he doesn't want to dick with the fork for 30 minutes before he goes rides a dirt bike. He just wants to hop on and ride it. And I know I just disagree with the way the manufacturers are going with their forks, and that's one of the reasons why the Yamaha's so good now, because of the suspension. It's not like the bike was changed, day and night from last year, but just, you got a good solid suspension base underneath you, and it's easy to ride.
Yeah. Man, I totally was going to go somewhere with that, and I just brain farted like a son of a bitch.
Hey, I can't even see you guys. I just see your face staring at me in my little window.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think it's better than the computer shutting down. So as long as you can still hear us, then it's probably not the end of the world. So of all the stuff that's kind of going on in the off-road world, like, I think one thing that you're probably pretty excited about is the fact that Gary Sutherland's going to be kind of a factory-supported KTM rider for Works and Hare and Hound next year.
Yeah, Gary's he's one of my good buddies. He's like my brother. We talk a lot of shit together, and we get on each other's nerves. But as far as a guy that works as hard, and he's a single dad, and the guy busts his ass, and he doesn't complain, but he complains to me, but he doesn't complain to anybody else. But like, he's just a good guy. I mean, the guy's fast, he's talented, and works hard, and I think it's cool that he finally gets something. I don't know if he's making any money. I think he should be making a living off his salary, but at least he has a good bike under him, and it's better than what Dirt Rider. We gave him a bike to use, so
right.
His program has stepped up huge for next year, and I expect him to at least do as good, if not better, on this kind of equipment. So I know he's going to ride the Work Series and the Hare and Hounds, but it's another thing that kind of bums me out too with the manufacturers is they have all these guys on the East Coast, the GNCCs and the giving rides and salaries too, but there's a lot of good guys out here on the West that they're not helping, and not even Gary. There's, Ricky Brabeck, he's the national Hare and Hound champion. That kid doesn't even have a ride. He can't even get bikes.
Yeah. He's
riding his 2011 Cowie next year, and I'm just like, man, I don't understand. An AMA national champion, one's not making any money, and two is not even getting dirt bikes. That there's something wrong. There's something up.
Yeah. Is it that a lot of the manufacturers maybe don't see return on investment kind of on the West Coast as much as they do on the East Coast? Like, do they? I'm not saying that. I'm thinking that what if they're thinking that people are going to see more of the bikes winning and blah 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 because the series might be a little bit more.
Yeah, I think obviously the series is bigger. The GNCZ is ran. It's a lot. It's a broader series. A lot more. Media type people cover that event, and versus out here, District 37. National Hare and Hounds. It's not as big, but you'd be surprised how many people are there at the race. When you pull into the valley, there's thousands of motorhomes and cars and trucks and pre-runners. So the money is out there.
Right.
People are willing to spend money. You see it. And when they see a champion on a Kawasaki, those kind of people, okay, I'm going to go buy a KX450 because, he's winning. And you saw that with KTM, just like you said. You see a sea of orange everywhere. And back in the day, it was all green. That's all you saw when Danny Hamill and Larry Rossler and all those guys were riding Kawasaki's. And now it went a different way when Kurt was winning, and then it transformed in all this orange bikes. And I still think that Kurt's legacy is still out there. You see a lot of orange bikes, but I think Ricky has a chance to, kind of follow in Kurt's footsteps and help Kawasaki. But, I just think someone needs to step up and help the kid just because, he's a champion, he's proved himself. And I don't know what the answer is for the manufacturers to do it. And I know times are tight and different, but I at least help the kid out with some motorcycles.
Yeah, you would think so, honestly. And he won, 3 different championships there on the West Coast that hasn't been done in a very long time?
Yeah, so he won the Hare and Hound, the Score.
Yep.
Or the Baja Score, and then the Best in the Desert. So, and I don't think that's even been done ever before. So that's the first time that's ever been done.
Man,
That's
crazy. He needs. They need to get him a what is it? A YZ250 FX.
Yes. Yamaha.
Well, that thing would blow up so quick in the open desert with him on it.
Yeah, he's a big boy, ain't he?
Yeah, it's like David Pearson's son, kind of a thing. It's like the Pearsons are so freaking big.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, Nick and Russ weren't that big, but man, David's huge.
Yeah. I would agree. So speaking of the East a little bit, we had Strang on when he was living on the West Coast, and he was talking about the KTMs a little bit and how he was having some issues getting the bikes kind of dialed in and stuff like that. And now, he's kind of come back East. He's been on the Yamahas for 2 years, and then now this year he's not on Yamaha. He's going to be factory Husky. And I asked him, I was like, well, how do you think the Huskies are going to be? And I kind of was like, put KTMs in quotes. He's like, oh, man, I love it. It's going to be awesome. I was just like, well, do you think that it's going to be different now that you're full factory, kind of on a KTM on the new Huskies? And he was like, oh, yeah, I think it'll be totally different on a new factory. And the thing is I don't know how different they are, and I don't know how much more, I guess, adjustability he's really going to get. So it's going to be interesting to see Strang kind of, because he's been on the Yamahas, which, I know you're very consistent with. How do you think that transition is going to work for him since you've ridden, kind of both the bikes that he's been on and will be on?
Yeah, and I think, when you have the help behind you and you got people trying to get your bike better, I think he's right. I think it's going to be better than what he was riding maybe because WP's technology has advanced a little bit, and he's a good enough rider where he can adjust, pretty good. But I think a lot of that when you hear riders talk is, they're trying to convince themselves too, they're just not telling you that. They're like, okay, I'm going to say this too to kind of convince myself and what I believe might happen.
Right.
So, you see a lot of that in Supercross and all that stuff too. But I think, Huskies, which way they're going and, and I've ridden, I don't know what he's riding, a 350 or a 450, but when I did the shootouts, I actually liked the Husky better than the KTM 450, even though, they're the same bikes, but roll on out of the corners was smoother. It just was almost an easier bike to ride, and it made the action of the suspension feel better, especially real choppy type tracks. Huh. So I think he's going to do good. Is he going to beat Caleb? I don't know about that. But
That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I still think he's going to be, and it depends with Mullins too. I know he's had some problems with his wrist, so if he gets back in the mix, I still think he's a third place guy. Even though with factory help, I still think he's going to be about the same.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And we've seen a lot of people, like look at Stuart Baylor, was just chomping at the bit to try to take over the XC1 class, but unfortunately had so many wrist issues and is navicular. And then now we've seen Charlie Mullins kind of having that same wrist surgery, injury surgery, and now having to go back in to kind of have some more work done. I think this was really just to take pins out, but still, we know that he crashed at the ISDE. You can think that stuff like that just can't feel good on the wrist and on the body as you're beaten up and broken down. So it's going to be interesting to see as those top three, I would say, kind of come back in to the new year. But Caleb Russell, oh my gosh, he's just kicking butt this year. Or the past 2 years.
Yeah, that kid rips too, and he has good moto skills, and guys that usually have good moto skills like Josh and and even Mullins. Mullins been out here riding with me, and he has good moto skills. Those guys rip in the off road, but I think just Caleb, his confidence and how he rides, I think he's just on a different level than everyone else.
Yep. Yeah, and he had a lot of fun when he did the National Enduro there. Over in South Carolina, I believe it was, and Josh Strang did as well. Josh Strang did really, really well and got on the podium there, and he is going to be on the 350, the press release said, for the National Enduros on the Husky. So that's going to be cool to see him kind of come in. If Mullins is going to come back, and then I don't think, has Husky announced their off-road team yet for next year, the official announcement?
I don't know if they can. I know they did their photo shoot today, actually.
Yeah, because Ryan Sipes got in a crap ton of trouble because he posted a picture at the photo shoot, and I looked. I was like, oh, shit. And I'm like, because I knew they hadn't posted the names yet, but it was literally just a mechanic, like, in a bike. But he apparently got in trouble for that, so I don't think they have yet.
Yeah, it's weird to me. Like, I don't know what the big deal is. It's like, let's name our team. It's not that big a deal.
It's like they keep it like this big secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, you look at ball and stick sports and everything's so, transparent. And our sport's like, oh, don't say anything. So, but actually it's cool that he's riding the 350 because I personally like that bike in a lot of areas. I think that's a really good size bike for most of every consumer. Like that KTM 350, I would rather ride that all day long than the 450 just because it's real fun to ride and it has plenty of torque for the average guy, and that would be a great size bike to have every manufacturer make because I think they would sell every one of them because it's just a super fun bike. Because the 450s, it's a lot of bike, man, especially if you get a guy that's not that great of a rider and you start getting tired and get a little whiskey throttle. You don't want none of that action.
Especially in the trees when you wind up upside down, like just hanging there like, oh, this shit sucks. Yeah, this hurts.
Yeah, no doubt. And you get in trouble real quick with that big of power,
Yeah. So before we let you go, I know your family's in there. It sounds like you guys getting ready for dinner. I personally am looking at getting a 350 XC. I'm an A rider. There was a time when I was a little bit faster. Now, 3 kids, family life, all that kinds of stuff. So I can still get out there and turn the throttle, but just not as fast. Now, I've talked with a couple different people. I'm on a 300 XC now. I've talked with a couple different people, and some people have been extremely positive about me going to the 350, and I've actually talked to 2 people that have told me not to do it because they say that the kind of the beginning power, they have to keep the bike revved up. They say if you let it drop down kind of into the lower RPMs, that it's very hard to get it to essentially get to the higher RPMs quicker or very quickly. And he said that they've been riding it a lot like a 2-stroke where they try to keep it in the mid to high RPMs the whole time. Now, this is just me just talking to people, but does any of that make sense with what you have experienced on a 350 XC?
The XC is a little bit more mellower than the SXF, but there's ways to get that back. For me, I'm not a real big 2-stroke guy. Like, I think they're fun, but if I was gonna have a bike, I'm gonna go buy a bike. I always would go 4-stroke.
Right.
Easy to ride. To me, the 350 has enough torque for what you guys want to do to get over some logs and rocks, and you can get that up. And the beauty of the new 350 that I've ridden is you could actually lug the bike, and it works well that way. And if you're tired and you don't feel like shifting, you can rev the shit out of it. So it's almost like a great thing in both worlds, So for me, I think a 350 would be an excellent choice in tight woods, and it's not a whole lot of bike. It won't, get out of your hands. And the 300 two-stroke's cool too, because it's actually that bike will lug really good and track really well for a two-stroke. But it's a tough choice. I don't know. It just depends what type of rider you are. Like, I'm more of a four-stroke type of rider, so I lean towards that way. But I honestly don't think you would have any problems with a 350 four-stroke.
I mean, I ride the 300 like a 300. I don't ride the 300 like a 250. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I personally am a rider that, finds that comfort in the second and third gear to kind of like lug my way through the trees. I try not to like slam into berms and drop the clutch and stuff, because I find that kind of riding wears me out way too quick. I can't be that aggressive. I have to keep my speed opposed to try to regain it, coming out of a turn. I got to keep it into the turn. Okay, cool. Well, no, I think that's good advice, and hopefully,
yeah, you'd have to get out here and do some dirt rider testing with us and do a little back to back.
All right, I'll do it. You just let me know when all your air miles come in, and we can get a flight out there.
Yeah, no, we had a contributor out there in Texas that was out there, and he was out there for a little bit, and he's a good dude, and there's a lot of good riding out there.
It's not too shabby. Munster is so awesome, and I wish that it kind of hadn't gone by the wayside like it has. The park is still there. The trails are still great. It's just they are very less acceptive now to dirt bikers. They really realize that the 4x4s and the quad riders, that's where they can make their money, and that is unfortunately kind of where their mindset is at now. Not that you can't go out there and ride on a dirt bike. It's just that you could tell that they've kind of started to formulate the park and the way they're going to make decisions around, that, which is to bring in more money. So,
yeah, you got to be a desert rat, because then you just ride from the house and you can ride anywhere you want. So literally, like, it's raining right now. I'm looking outside and it's raining, and the dirt's like glue when it's like that out here. So, start your bike, go out the garage, and you have endless sand tracks, trails. And then that's the reason why I live here. It's perfect for riding, And summertime's not the most ideal, but wintertime's killer out here.
Is that the 909? Is that what I should look for?
No, see, I'm 760. 909's no good, dude. You don't ever.
I don't want 9. Okay, no 909.
No 909.
So if my hat was like this, that's 909. But we don't do that. So we're like in the middle right here. We're good there.
I like it. Little bit of curve. The ears
are curve, and like leave the ears out. You don't have to.
Yeah, you have to come in.
God, oh my God! Do they do that just because hats got bigger and they didn't know what to do with their ears? Like, how did that start?
I'm not gonna lie. I tuck my ears in every now and again just because the way that you're right, the way the hat fits. But yeah, to me, I'm getting too old, mid-30s. I don't think I need to tuck my ears in.
So how old are you? I'm 35.
So am I. I'm 35.
All right, July.
Yeah, let's battle it out in the vet class, huh?
Oh hell no! I'll be your pit bitch, man. You're gonna kick my ass.
Dude, you'd be surprised. Guys with mixed match pants and jerseys, beer cans taped to their helmet. They smoked me at Ontario, dude.
Oh, Endurocross vet class. Okay.
Yeah, 35 and up.
I immediately thought that you were gonna try to get me out to a motocross track, and I was like, bro, I will look at your drain plug from the ground. Okay, buddy.
No, moto, I'm good with moto.
Yeah.
But Endurocross, I think we should go have some fun together. It'd be good.
All right, I like it. We'll have some elbow rubbing times, and then I'll drink some beers with your wife because you don't drink. So.
Oh yeah. Hold on, Heather. You gotta come in here. You gotta
see if we can get the video working. Steve.
It kills everything.
See, this is the wife that think. Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, wife?
Hello.
Would he be a hall pass for you?
Maybe.
I mean, come on, look at that mustache.
I was telling him about the Brownie. How I think Brownie looks like Tim McGraw. And like.
Oh, Brownie's a hall pass for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we're
maybe people.
Well, you got a maybe.
Yeah, I got a maybe. That's pretty good for somebody's wife from 706, right?
You're right. Yeah. When we get offered up, as a man, you're like, "Wow, it's my lucky day."
You're like, "Too bad I'm all the way in Texas." And
Yeah,
my
women
wife
get
is up.
offered all the time.
Yeah, and my wife is
No,
upstairs.
not dudes.
It's very true. It's unfortunate, but it's very true. So your wife has actually been on the Pulp MX show as well, right?
Yeah, she comes with me because the drive is pretty gnarly because I test a lot the next day. So I'll drive up at like 2 o'clock and get there before show, and me and Steve bullshit a little bit. And the show usually wraps, sometimes long, but we usually get out of there by 11. We have to drive, 3 hours home.
Yep.
So it's nice to have her in the truck sleeping.
Who-
I'll call up, drive, and then 5 minutes in the drive, she's like,
Well, is it JT? No, not JT. Who is it that comes with you on the show? Oh, Travis Preston, TP. So does he get better road handies, or does your wife?
no, Travis knows the man, so he's better at that. A man knows what a man likes, right?
That's what I'm talking about. It's awkward to say, but yes.
The marriage is just a cover up.
It makes all those Saturday nights feel more legit.
Yeah, no, Travis actually is a good. We actually my Pulp MX things are going to be growing next year, so there's going to be some new stuff that I'm going to do myself along with Mathis. And Mathis has been a really cool guy, and we hit it off first time we met, and it's fun to be a part of that show because I can be who I am here, and we can still talk shit, but yet help some people out with some testing knowledge. And not everybody's on the inside, and I remember when I was on the outside and that's all I cared about was dirt bikes, and now I'm kind of on the inside where I can let some people know some things, which is to me is important because you have your wallet and you only have so much money in there, and you want to know what the hell you're going to spend your money on. So I kind of take that personal when I give some advice, because $9,000 is a lot of money for a dirt bike.
Yeah, especially like when they're like that's starting now for KTM's, like is $9,000. You get into the higher 4-stroke range, you're looking at $10,000 for some walking out of the door. MSRP says 9, but you get your tax, title, license, and then they crate fee you and all the other stuff.
Yeah, it's gnarly, man. It sucks too because you think about it, and you go do your woods races and all that stuff, and your bike's blown out in 6 to 8 months. You're looking at your $10,000 dirt bike, going, "Holy shit!" And I'm still making payments on this son of a bitch.
It's now worth 35.
Yeah, I can sell it tomorrow for half of this.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Exactly.
Well, dude, before we keep you too long and keep you from your family, like, do you have any kind of last bits for us, like just things you've been thinking about off-road wise that you just don't get to talk about, like on Pulp MX, or just other random bits?
To me, like, I love off-road racing. That's what I started racing. My dad put me in desert racing when I was, my son's age, 8 or 9 years old, and that has my heart for a long time. And my dad put me in moto, and that's what I've, kind of modeled my life after was motocross. But when I go trail riding and I go riding with all my buddies, or I see the off-road world out there, it just puts a smile on my face because the people in the off-road community are so much more real to me, and I can relate to those type of people way better than I can the motocross world. They're just too serious and too gnarly for me, and I just love off-road, and that's what I love about working for Dirt Rider is, we're a hybrid magazine. We get to do both. We're just not strapped to one deal, motocross or off-road. We get to do both, and that's perfect for me because that's what I love. I'm a 50-50 guy, and as far as our magazine goes, I'm extremely happy to work with Chris Dennison. I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet him, but he's one of the most genuine guys, awesome person, and down to earth, and he makes you want to work hard and create better content for the readers. So, it's just a fun place for me to be at right now, working with everyone and meeting great people, and I'm very blessed, and it's fun to talk shit with everyone and talk about dirt bikes, and go Dolphins. That's what I got to say.
And getting free shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it hitting?
Sunday was no good, man. I wasn't into that. That sucked. But if it's not dirt bikes in the Kiefer household, it's football. So
nice, just hitting kickers and getting free shit.
That's it. Yeah, hitting kickers. Oh shit. Hey, next time you talk to Gary, you said he got some free shit the other day because he was hitting fat kickers. So
hitting fat kickers. All right, you got it, buddy. I will. Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you being on the show, taking some time for us here at Seat Time. we definitely have a lot of fun riding dirt bikes and just talking about it. So we appreciate you doing the same with us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, and you guys enjoy the show, and have a good Christmas.
Woo-hoo. Hey,
You
man,
too.
you too. Thank you very much.
All
Merry
right.
Christmas.
See you, Jordan.
See
Good
ya.
luck in your Endurocross career.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yes, he's
This
supporting
will be
it.
fantastic. Later, dude.
See you guys. Bye.
So, bye, Heather. Sweet. So does the hall pass thing means that like it would be okay? Like
I'm not up on that. I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know if she said yeah he's a hall pass, like she would, like I'm on her list, like I could be on her list, like, or like that I could sleep with her husband and she wouldn't get mad.
I don't know how that works.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How it was a little like, did I just
A little
get
bit
invited to a
questionable.
party I don't really know if I'm
Ready
excited
to
to
go
be
to,
at?
yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's a wine enema party. A what? Like, I don't know what's happening here. So I have to say, it's been an interesting show. We've luckily had some tech-free shows for a while, but unfortunately, we did have an issue with that computer wshutting down on us. Thank you guys that were able to stick through it. So, Jordan, what's next for Miss Bailey? We are going to have a show in 2 weeks, so don't everybody think that this is the end for the year. So we are going to have a show in 2 weeks. Hopefully, you can make it, but it'll be in a different location.
I don't know what the date is on that.
30th, December 30th.
December 30th.
Yeah.
I'm probably down for that.
Yeah.
I go out of town January. Me and the hubs are going on vacation. But, yeah, that's about
You're going to
it.
be at a barely walk afterwards?
No, I think we should be okay. Well, we're going to New York City, so we probably will be able to barely walk, so we'll walk miles and miles.
Yeah,
but
you will. Yeah, you will. It sucks. I mean, like New York City?
yeah.
New York City's aw. Have you been before?
One time we went there for like a couple days because we had a race in New York, so we just like hit the city on our way home.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
incredible.
But it's
Yeah.
if you got some time, it's really neat to see. But yeah, ready to walk. Like
Yeah. It's
it-
going to be
stretch
rough.
your calves every day and start now.
Band-Aids already on my
Now,
heels.
yeah. It's crazy
Yeah,
times.
so-
Well, it'll be cool. Any thoughts or expectations of more riding next year? As in, kind of.
We've actually talked about, we had so much fun at the Enduro. We've actually talked about hitting some of the T-Secs, hopefully.
Was it March 22nd? We've got Bridgeport here. The
National Enduro will
Round
definitely be at
3.
that one. We got a lot of friends coming down for that, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get on the same row, 2 in front of your husband? So
Sure.
You can catch me again. On the
That sounds
last
fun.
mile?
Yeah. If you're up for it.
I'm not. There's no way.
Maybe I'll get him to train this winter.
Oh, shut up.
And then
He's
then
been
we can
training his whole
actually
life for this. You shut up.
Yeah, so maybe that. I don't know.
That'd be fun.
What about you? Any riding?
No, the biggest thing for me is going to be hoping that I'm cognizant enough to even wake up on New Year's Day.
Hey, that's a good,
let alone
good
go
goal.
ride somewhere. My wife, the reason is my wife wants to do something. And I'm like, what? She's like, I don't know. I just want to, the kids are old enough now to be left with people. I want to go do something. I'm like, babe, I haven't done something like.
You're like, but now I'm too old
Yeah,
to
I was
go
like,
do something.
I don't dress up and get in limos and go to parties and stuff. I was like, because you know what's going to happen? Whiskey Brian's going to come out.
Uh-oh.
Nobody's going to have a good night except Whiskey Brian. And then
Your wife's gonna be pissed
And then
at
he's
you.
going to wake up the next morning, and then I'm going to hate life. And it's
Yeah.
like, that doesn't sound fun for anybody. Like,
Our New Year's Eve usually consists of like going to bed at like 10 o'clock. My mom, she's like, can we have game night this year? I'm like, sure.
I'm
But that
still going to
means-
sleep at 10.
Yeah, it still probably means bed at 10, but yeah.
Whoa. Mark Weeks in the chat room that I just like Cooper Bailey coming up behind me. I'm not going to disagree. It was a little disconcerting when it happened in the race. It was a little like, oh.
Oh, man.
But, in real life, yeah, I mean, I'm down. Whatever.
What do you... That got weird.
Oh, did it get weird? I'm so sorry. So, yeah, I think we talked about a lot of fun stuff. Anything we missed?
I don't know. It sounds like I'm racing Endurocrosses next year.
That'll be fun.
So if
for you.
anybody wants to back us
Yeah.
on that.
I mean, if we can't make it if we can't make it for webcast, at least
Might
we'll
as
get
well
there for
ride it.
Jordan's Endurocross career.
Yeah, I'm going to need airplane tickets. I've done the whole traveling thing already. That was fun, but
Yeah,
I'll
you know
pass
your
on that
limits now?
again. Yeah. And bikes and gear.
Let's talk to Reigns. We'll get you some
Yeah.
250 FXs.
FXs. I would totally be down.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to ride one of those. All right, episode 151. We will be back in 2 weeks. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. We're going to go ahead and take it easy next Tuesday. There's just no need for all that hullabub. But in 2 weeks, it should be interesting. We are going to be doing a live show, location yet to be determined. There are talks with a couple different shops in the area. But it will be anybody that's going to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is more than welcome to come attend. I do know that I've seen Mark Weeks' balls and ass at one of the last live shows that we do. So I can only hope that that happens again and that everybody comes out and has a good time.
I don't even want to know the story on that.
Like,
but
maybe I'm not going to be there.
I think about that. No, that sounds fun, actually.
You're like, can I have blinders?
Yeah. Can we have, like, someone that holds up, like, the... What's
the sensor bar?
Yeah, the sensor bar. Like
that's what we'll give you. You'll just have one, and you can just hold it up, and it'll cover your eyes.
That's a great idea.
I like that. Oh my gosh. Well, cool. Episode 151. Thank you very much for paying attention to Seat Time. Remember, the website is seattime.co, where you can find all the archive shows. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We're on Instagram. All those fun little social networks where you can find us. If you're looking for videos and live archives specifically, you can go to YouTube. That's where you can subscribe to us there. Of course, if you're looking for just audio, iTunes and Stitcher is a way to find out there. Very, very thankful for Fly Racing, Stillwell Performance, and Fast Company for supporting the show. We really appreciate that. It does look like we're going to have a new... Fly Racing is still on board for next year, and we're going to have a new sponsor next year for 2015. Just got to sign the contracts, as they say. In the moto world, can't say anything until the ink's on the paper.
Shh, it's a secret.
It's a secret. So, yes. Thank you very much for paying attention. Jordan, thank you very much for coming in again. Always a good time. I guess, hey,
that's it.
always enjoy a pint full of
Merry
awesome. See you in
Christmas.
2 weeks. Merry Christmas!